Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where every day is Earth Day, because this week we watched The Wedding of River Song.
Written by Steven Moffat. Don't know why I just had to check that, because it's completely obvious and I would have known anyway.
Directed by Jeremy Webb.
It aired on October 1st, 2011.
Yeah. This episode. I have problems with this episode.
I know a lot of people hate this one.
Oh, I don't hate it.
No, but I mean a lot of people do. A lot of people really hate it.
I have problems with this episode. Because it feels very slapdash, it feels very haphazard and messy, and like Moffat really actually didn't know what he was doing when he killed the Doctor at the start of the season.
Well, that's interesting because, I don't know, I find this episode totally middle of the road. Like, it was just okay. Just a solid 3 out of 5 episode if I'm going to put a rating on it, which I'm not, which I guess I just did. So screw me, right? But, no, I mean, I don't know. I have no strong feelings towards this episode one way or the other. I think it was just okay.
Well, let's talk about
inoffensive. I think that's a good word to describe it. Inoffensive.
Inoffensive. Well, let's talk some production when we start here.
It wasn't that interesting. I mean, we both.
It wasn't that interesting. There were a couple interesting things, like Stephen Colshaw came back to play Charles Dickens for a cameo role after appearing 6 years ago on the show.
They all the characters in this who were returning to roles, they got back. So I mean, good on them.
Right.
Not that it really matters that much from a viewer standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Some of them I didn't even realize were the same character. Specifically, the Silurian Doctor, I didn't realize was the same Doctor as Hungry Earth, Cold Blood, Malakeh.
But they also got Mark Gatiss.
They also got Mark Gatiss,
the Viking guy.
Which I didn't even realize.
Well, because he's wearing like a full face prosthetic.
Right.
So, but he does a better job here, like I said, than he does as Lazarus, I think. I
agree, actually. His performance as the Space Viking is pretty great. I don't remember what the Space Viking's name was. Something
Me
like
either. Maybe because this is a more one-note character. He can just be...
It's true. And essentially Moffat, he rested the Daleks this season. So he did put a Dalek in this episode that gets killed by the Doctor.
Gotta appease the fans one way or another.
Chris shouldn't have went a whole season without using a Dalek, although there's heavy indications that the Daleks are showing up in the New Year's specials, so heavy teasing. Other than that, apparently filming started before he'd even written the script, because they were filming other scenes this season, and they filmed cameos and stuff before the script was even written. So and then
what a way to do things.
Yeah, what a way to do things. I mean, you probably didn't know this, but the first Iron Man film was filmed pretty much without a script, and most scenes were improvised. So
nice. Some Larry David BS in here.
I mean, the first Iron Man is one of the best Marvel films, so make of that what you will.
So it's just awful instead of being unpalatable.
No, the first Iron Man is actually a solid movie.
No, I mean, that was just my jab at Marvel movies, which I obviously don't like.
First Iron Man is grounded. If you didn't know it was a comic book character, you'd be like, oh, this is a pretty cool sci-fi story about a guy.
Well, I don't care if it's a comic book character one way or the other, but
dealing with
trauma
and being captured by terrorists. It's actually got a lot to say on the war machine. And first Iron Man's actually a pretty good movie.
Well, I've never watched it, so all I'm going to say is that I'm just going to completely write it off and dislike it.
Okay. You can do that.
But yeah, imagine being stuck in an endless loop. Imagine if Earth, Groundhog Day, was also Earth Day. 2 holidays on one day.
Wow. Oh, no.
You wouldn't know which one to celebrate.
I don't think Groundhog Day would ever appear on Earth Day.
No, but what if, right?
But what if? Great.
I mean, groundhogs are part of the Earth. Oh, well, I mean, ground is also in some ways interchangeable with Earth. So you could be I don't know, Earth Hog Day, something like that.
Earth Hog Day.
Ground Day.
Ground Day. Well, anyway, They
throw you right in.
they throw you right in.
There's a train around that building in London whose name I don't know.
The Millennium
whose purpose
Tower.
I don't know.
It's the Millennium Tower.
It's the Millennium Tower.
Yeah.
Well, there's also a Millennium Tower in Dublin, I think, which is just like a aluminum-looking spire.
Yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure, 100%, 99.8% sure that this is the Millennium Tower.
Isn't the Millennium Bridge also in London?
I think so.
It's that aluminum bridge.
Yeah, but it's not actually aluminum, right? It's like titanium.
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I was saying when I said aluminum, I meant like it looked like someone just...
the color.
Yeah. But I don't know like what it's actually made out of.
I'm sure this is the Millennium Tower, but now I'm second-guessing myself. Millennium Tower. London. Yep. According to Wikipedia. Oh, they're building it.
No, that's not the same.
That's not the same. That's not the same. Here it is.
Yeah, that thing. What is that?
It says Millennium Tower in the... the caption of this image calls it the Millennium Tower. On a site called exploringlondon.com. Alright. It's actually officially called 30 St. Mary Axe Gherkin Tower, according to this YouTube video. You know what? I'm just going to call it Millennium Tower, and some Londonites will correct us in the comments, or we'll correct it in the show notes or something.
Either way, there's a train coming out of it.
Yeah, and there's flying cars that are like cars attached to balloons.
Yeah.
With little propellers. And apparently Winston Churchill's like...
In the future, there will be flying cars. Yeah, Winston Churchill is the Holy Roman Emperor or whatever.
Yeah, the Holy Roman Emperor.
Reminiscent of Spiral Scratch.
This episode reminded
Maybe
me
this is that alternate universe.
Maybe.
This episode reminded you of Spiral Scratch?
Yeah, kind of. Everything happening at once. Alternate universes.
Yeah, kind of, actually.
Anyway, Winston Churchill calls for the soothsayer because he's like, why is time stuck at 5:02?
He realizes this. He realizes that time is happening all at once.
Well, he realizes the clocks aren't moving. It's always 5:02 in the afternoon, April 22nd.
And you gotta wonder, like, if everything's happening all at once, is he always realizing that time is just happening all at once? I guess so, right?
Yeah. Charles Dickens' lines, he's like, this is going to be the best Christmas special ever. And I was like, did Moffat write that line in for himself for the next Christmas special? So he calls in the soothsayer, and it's the doctor with a really scraggly beard. And this is where we discovered Matt Smith can't grow a beard.
Yeah, this is
really
where this is where it's revealed why Matt Smith keeps his face totally shaved.
Yeah. Yeah. And he starts at the beginning. He starts telling Winston the story. He regales Winston with the tale of what happened on why time is all happening at once.
Yeah, this is some H.P. Lovecraft garbage. One of the big, as I read more Lovecraft, I'm realizing one of the big horrors of Lovecraft is like going back to the conventions of the past and realizing that the past is exactly the same as the future and the present and all of that stuff.
The only thing we learn from history is that we don't learn from history. History repeats itself. In more ways than one.
There are rats underneath the castle floors that will eat you alive and turn you into a cannibal.
Nice.
Rats in the Walls is a good H.P. Lovecraft story that I recently read.
Nice. Shout out to Lovecraft.
Heck yeah.
All right, so the doctor's running around. He goes way back.
He's telling the story to Churchill.
He goes back to basically right after he leaves Craig, and the doctor's trying to figure out why he's got to die. Because he's like, if I'm going to die, I want to know why.
He has a few hours to do this. You know, he could have planned this time a bit better than pushing this all to the end. But you know, he's a procrastinator. So
classic doctor, procrastinating as always.
So first he goes and he meets up with a Tesselecta. And I forget, is the Tesselecta the name of the robot?
That's the name of the robot, yeah. But the first thing he does is actually he goes to the Dalek.
Oh, right, yeah.
He gets all the information on the silence from the Dalek, and then he takes that and he goes to like a grungy bar where he's looking for like someone who was an ex-priest of the Church of the Silence.
Right.
And he shows up, and the doctor's like, well, nice to meet the Tesselector because this guy's been dead for 10 years or whatever he says.
You zoom in on the guy's eye, and it's the captain from Let's Kill Hitler.
Right. And he's like, okay, what do you want, Doctor? Because he immobilizes the robot with the sonic screwdriver. And he's like, what do you want, Doctor? And he's like, okay, look, I just want to know the information on the silence. I want to know the information about my death and why I gotta die. And just
why
let
Lake
me know.
Silencio? Why April 22nd, 2011? Why 502?
Yeah.
It's all these questions, none of which are the oldest question in the universe.
Yet, as we find out later. Basically what happens then is...
The Doctor goes and meets the guy played by Mark Gatiss.
Yeah, the Viking.
Yeah, Mark Gatiss.
At live chess, which I thought was just like, oh, they're playing chess live. Turns out, like, every time
it's like
you...
Blake 7 speed chess.
Blake 7 speed chess. So every time you move a piece, the voltage running through the piece increases.
Or at least the queen. It's
Yeah.
at least the queen. It's not sure if it's...
I just assumed it was like every piece.
The Doctor's like, well, you move the queen 12 times, and you know what that means. It means that the next time you touch it, you're going to get shocked with high enough voltage to kill you.
Right.
And plus, I didn't know if it was like increasing voltage or if it's just like, oh, you moved it too many times, now it's charged and stuff like that.
I think it's increasing voltage because he says something like, oh, you've moved it so many times, the voltage is up to XYZ.
Yeah, plus it makes it more fun, more dangerous.
Great, you can die while playing chess. That's the change that chess always needed.
Well, no, you can die while playing normal, real-world chess, too.
How?
In any number of ways. I mean, someone could walk into the room and shoot you. You could, be drinking water and choke on it and die. You could, just fall out of your chair. Presumably you're sitting in a chair, hit your head on the floor, and die. Mm-hmm. There's any number of options here.
Right.
And infusing it into the game just makes it all the more better. That's not grammatically correct, but
right.
It doesn't matter. It's true. I think it does add a fun twist to chess, which is boring otherwise.
Right. I don't know if dying can be considered a fun twist.
No, you're not dying, but maybe the threat of death. Obviously kidding about all of this. Or maybe not so obviously.
I was going to say, dying while playing chess, not the...
Sign me up.
Well, count me out. Count me out.
I want to choose how I go.
And it's by playing chess?
Never won a game in my life. Also, I make every move in less than 1 second, so I'd probably get that voltage real quick.
Basically, the Viking tells the Doctor to concede the match, and he'll tell the Doctor whatever he wants to know, and the Doctor's like, you'll have to...
Because the Viking's about to lose, and the crowd is like jeering for him to touch the piece and die. Because the only move he has left is to move the queen, which is, like we said, charged with enough voltage to kill him. Right.
So the Doctor concedes.
Yeah.
Because this is exactly the deal he was apparently looking for. And the Viking takes him to this...
catacomb.
He tells
area.
the Doctor that he needs to find Dorian Maldevar, and he's like, he's dead.
He's like, nah, Doctor, not so fast.
That's the information that the Doctor has to concede to get is where Dorian is.
Yeah, because apparently the Doctor hasn't watched that 2-minute follow-up to... I forget what the
Good Man Goes to War.
Called.
Good Man Goes to War.
Yeah, Good Man Goes to War. Which I haven't either.
Well, basically what happens next is they get to this kind of
crypt-like area.
like a
an
catacomb.
Real Indiana Jones looking area. Skulls on the walls and everything.
Right.
Cannibalistic skulls, I guess you could call them.
Right, and...
flesh-eating skulls.
Yeah, they're the heads of all the headless monks, I think was the...
oh, really, yeah.
The implication.
That's interesting. Throughout all of this, we're cutting back to the Doctor telling Churchill about this, just so we're reminded that this is all his story.
Yeah, and every so often the Doctor looks at his arm and there's a
tally mark.
A tally mark on his arm. He's like, okay, a little suspicious.
Winston's
he's still, like, why did we leave my office?
And
why did we leave my office? Why do I have a gun?
That.
And he's like, well, I don't know. But then he looks at his arm and he's like, I see. He doesn't tell Winston yet.
Yeah. Seems very lax about it as well.
Yeah, they are.
So yeah, they're headed into this crypt.
Right. Of disembodied heads, I guess. There's a couple that are on boxes, and the Viking, what's his name? Something with a G. Doesn't matter. He dies. Gatus explains that if you're really rich, then your head gets a special box instead of being put, I guess, on the shelves with all the plebs.
And Maldivar was always really rich.
Yeah.
But it turns out that this guy's a sore loser because he pulls a gun on the doctor. Mm-hmm. Says that nobody ever beats him at chess. Little does he realize that he actually won. He actually beat the doctor.
Yeah, I mean, the doctor conceded.
Technically.
Yeah. I guess, in essence.
But, wait, okay, so I forget the circumstances surrounding this, but basically a hole opens up in the floor and he gets sucked in.
He trips a tripwire. The doctor tries to warn him about it, but he's like, no, don't talk to me.
Right, because when they walk in, he's like, there are traps everywhere. Be careful.
Right.
And then he activates the easy trap of just stepping on the wrong tile.
And he gets consumed by the skulls. Yeah, he falls into like a pit of skulls. I guess that's where they put the super plebs. It's in the pit. And he gets eaten by the skulls.
You gotta wonder, like, why the skulls eat and how they eat as well. Like,
I was about to say that exact thing.
But you know what? I'm not going to question it more than I already have.
Me neither. I'm not even going to question it at all. I'm just going to go with it. The doctor opens Maldivar's box and he's like, oh, hi, it's you. And he's like, yep, it's me. And Maldivar's like, you're going to die soon. And he's like, yep, I'm going to die soon. And then Maldivar basically plot dumps that the Silence heard that Silence will fall at Trenzalore when the question that is never asked gets asked. So they're going to try to avert that timeline by killing the doctor before they get there. He also explains that they chose Lake Silencio because it was like a still point in time, whatever that means, which is like easier to create a fixed point in time there. And they wanted the doctor's death to be a fixed point, basically.
Right. Which is why they enlisted River, which we saw at the end of last episode to do that.
Well, they created River to do that, more like it.
Yeah, he kidnapped her to do it.
And the doctor's like, well, cool, I'm going to take you with me then. Maldivar's like, why? Yeah. Maldivar's like, I got a media chip installed in my head a couple of years ago and we get great Wi-Fi down here, so I've been entertained.
This underground tomb.
Get better Wi-Fi in this tomb than in the TARDIS, apparently.
And in my house. God, I'm jealous.
What, do you have bad Wi-Fi in your house?
No, it's just a joke.
Maybe you should move to this crypt
I
tomb.
have really good Wi-Fi, so I'm not one to complain.
I actually have pretty good Wi-Fi too. You have pretty good Wi-Fi here too. Good Wi-Fi a lot of places around here.
Yeah.
Starbucks. So the doctor and Maldivar just start traveling around. The doctor's like, I can run away from this. Maldivar's like, yeah, right. And then we get a really touching moment where the doctor calls up, I guess, the nursing home where Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart is staying, and they tell him that Lethbridge Stewart died.
Right.
Corresponding with real actor Nicholas Courtney's death.
Yeah. The doctor is very distraught over this, and this moment is the turning point when he realizes that it's time for him to die. Right.
Which I think is a really touching moment and a nice little tribute
to
the Brigadier. The Brigadier's death is what makes the doctor kind of accept his own death.
Yeah. I have more to say about this in the end, something I want to briefly touch on at the end.
All right. Curious to see what we're going to say about it.
I mean, not much, but...
And then the doctor goes to the test lector again and is like, well, I gotta go die now. Bye. And they're like, isn't there anything we can do? And the doctor just looks at them solemnly and steps out.
Actually.
Okay, we're not there yet. I don't know why the doctor's telling us to Winston Churchill like there's some sort of...
Because he's the soothsayer.
Yeah, but I don't know why he's telling it to him there's going to be a big reveal that the doctor went back to the bar. Like, I don't know why he doesn't just tell Winston.
He wants to build it up. It's just, it's a story. Really get him invested.
This was like my big problem with this was like, why doesn't the doctor just bloody tell
Tell
someone.
like 3 sentences, like, all right, here's what happened.
This whole thing could have been avoided if the instant River was like trying to shoot him, he was just like, look, just shoot me. I'm not actually me. I'm the test lector, and like, it's fine. But instead, no, he tells River just to shoot him. It doesn't tell her anything about what's going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it turns this into a sort of metafictional thing, right? It's a story about telling stories.
Right.
And the circumstances of all of that.
I mean, I get it. I think it's more of a commentary on the Doctor's character that him not telling people his plans is what usually causes things to go awry, but we'll talk about that a little later because I have things to say on that.
Well, interestingly, now that you bring up, this whole thing about how it's a story and how he could just tell them, he keeps the emotional like force of the story very intact, and I think that's really interesting, right? No, he's like, all right, River, look over there, but don't make it seem as if you're not looking over there, and that's you, and you know that you're always forgiven throughout all of time, and he keeps the heavy hitting like emotional beats there, but like in terms of his plot, he falls apart,
Right.
which is interesting. In a thematic sense, but whatever.
There's that other implication that River's remembered all along that the Doctor dies there and that she was just lying.
Yeah. No, that's what
she
it is at the end.
Classic River.
Tells her mom, you know how hard it was to pretend not to know you and pretend not to know how the Doctor dies. I guess she never comes out and actually says it.
He does kind of. And then, geez, the Doctor looks up at the roof and it's covered in silence. And he's like, oh, shoot. But then I guess like this weird paramilitary force just busts down the door. And they're like, what's up? It's us. It's me, Amy. I can remember the other timeline for some reason, but Rory can't. Doesn't matter. Don't think about it too hard.
Yeah, there was some other important character who could remember multiple timelines on Doctor Who.
River.
Nah, maybe it was River. I'm not sure.
Well, River and Amy in this story both remember the other timeline.
No. I mean, like in another story. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up.
I don't remember.
Whatever. Anyway, Amy is a badass in this universe, much more than she is in the normal universe, prime universe, original universe, whatever it is.
Rory's pretty awesome in this universe too,
Yeah,
but he's awesome across all universes.
That's one of the fixed points of Rory, right?
The universal constant. Rory is a badass. The Doctor is trying to convince Amy that she knows him, and picks up this, I guess, TARDIS-shaped cookie box.
Because Amy knocks him out, and he's taken to this train. You find out later is in Egypt.
Well, the train goes from London to Egypt, which is pretty sick. And then the Doctor realizes that she actually does remember him, and he's like, oh, duh.
Yeah. And Amy is also wearing an eye patch, by the way. And this is where I put together the eye patch is what helps you, remember the silence even when you're not looking at them. But what I thought it was just like a picture of a silent, like glued on the inside. So you're like always looking at one, right? You know what I mean?
High-tech technology.
But no, it's actually like a...
More advanced than that.
Yeah. It's essentially that, but it feeds it into your brain. But Rory in this alternate universe is just a soldier, although one who directly reports, I think, to Amy.
Right, Amy's his superior officer, and he's just Commander Williams, apparently.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm looking for my husband in this universe, but I haven't found him yet, and she gives him a drawing, and the Doctor looks at it, he's like, And then Rory comes in, and the Doctor's surprised that Amy seems completely oblivious to the fact that that's her husband. Then he picks up the picture and holds it next to the real Rory, and he's like, you might want to try again.
I don't know who was the police, sketch artist who did this for you, but...
It's a very poor likeness.
Anyway, they go into one of the pyramids.
Area 52.
Area 52.
It's labeled Area 52 on the side.
The camera pans around, and there's a big American flag on one side, and it says Area 52.
Yeah, all history's happening at once, remember?
Yeah, and inside of Area 52 are a bunch of silents.
Yeah, silents.
Silents. Who are supposedly imprisoned in vats of liquid that disables their
water.
powers because it disables their conductiveness or whatever, how they can draw electricity out of everything. But they're very active when the doctor comes in. Rory says he's never seen them as active as they are right now.
Yeah, and he basically wants to double check everything just in case. Good guy, Rory. That's a smart move. He wants to double check all the vats to make sure that they're actually sealed in.
Right, the doctor and Amy go off to another room to meet Madame Kovarian, who they've captured.
Right. She's in a chair tied up. It's interesting, she's got a little sign in front of her that says, like, do not approach the prisoner, which reminded me of when the doctor was captured at the beginning of the season in Day of the Moon. And he was inside that circle, and there was that sign that said, do not approach the prisoner.
Yeah,
the sign looked pretty much identical to the one that's in front of Kovarian.
Yeah.
Here.
I just realized that what's-his-face never came back. The FBI agent from...
Canton, Delaware.
Yeah.
I mean, you see him in the background.
Oh, really?
You see him, the old version of him, when they replay the scenes from the...
Yeah. I mean, don't spoil anything, but I hope he comes back in a larger capacity.
I'm just shrugging for the audience members listening.
Right. Silence will fall when the
question is asked on the field of Trenzalore. We got more information. That's not even like overarching
it's
plot
not that
of the next
relevant.
season.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, now that I think back on this episode, I can see that a lot of people have problems with it because a lot of, like, what's set up is kind of irrelevant at the end of the day. You know, the whole thing about the question, which was, like, the big thing.
That doesn't even... The thing is, like, this doesn't even, like, resolve most of the questions on this season.
That's okay.
The only one it resolves is how did the doctor survive, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. And that wasn't even, like, the big thing of the second half. The big thing of the second half that they set up was the question.
Which they only reveal at the final 5 seconds of the story.
And, I knew it was Doctor Who as soon as I remember back to that episode. I was like, it's going to be real disappointing when the question is just Doctor Who, and it was.
Can you imagine? This season ends like this, and you gotta wait. We're gonna wait 2 months for the Christmas special, but you're gonna wait like 6 months to find out what happens next, and it's just Doctor Who, and it just ends. And you're like, what?
Yeah, maybe if I had watched this as it aired, my opinions would be different. I still think this is just an alright episode. I don't think it's bad.
I think it fails as a season finale. It feels like Moffat's trying to outdo Lost season's finale and failed.
Yeah, I would say he fails at doing that.
Just because it's got so convoluted, honestly. Anyway. Area 52, the doctor touches River and time starts moving again, and she's like, no, get him off me. Because apparently, since they're both the kind of nexus points of the disturbance.
Right, well, we find out in a few minutes why this alternate universe was created and how they're integral to that.
Right.
So, and I guess the silence are linked with time moving, because once time starts moving, I guess it was the doctor getting closer to River that like sort of activated them, which is why they're
well, Kovarian says they're not trapped, they were just waiting for the doctor to show up.
Yeah, and that's what I think it is right? Like, as closer he gets to River, the more they
maybe
awaken or whatever.
Because as soon as the doctor enters the building, the time loop increases by 4 microns, they say.
Yeah.
Did you, like, question how long things took later on when time starts running again? Because I did. It implied that it took 2 minutes for River just to shoot the doctor. Like, those shots took 2 minutes. And I was like, I am skeptical.
And the clock is playing at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
I didn't pay much attention to it. I mean, they were probably talking for 2 minutes.
No, but like the 5:02 is from when she fires the first shot. So the clock on the bottom implies that from when she fired the first shot to when she fired the second one was 2 minutes of time.
Oh, maybe that clock was just for the alternate universe, or like because it was switching back and forth between those. Doesn't really matter.
Well, the reason why time's frozen at 5:02 is because that's when the doctor gets shot. Is at 5:02.
Yeah. Or when the doctor when River refuses to shoot the doctor.
Yeah, she drains the power systems of the suit.
Yeah, and that's what causes this alternate timeline where everything is going wrong.
If the suit is working by itself, it begs the question, why does River have to be inside the suit?
Well, who knows how much she's just like, I'm not doing this, it's the suit. I don't know.
I mean, I always
wanna take
wondered, like,
responsibility
when they
for it.
revealed that, like, well, why did River have to be in the suit then? Like,
I think there's some, input on her part, and maybe she's just downplaying it. Like, yeah, I definitely didn't want to kill the doctor. No. But all right, so wait a minute. Who's the little girl
River.
from? Yeah, I know, but like, what is all of that? Like the scene in New York. Like, what even is that scene?
A little girl dying.
I know, but like, what I'm asking is how it plays into the larger scheme of things. Because I don't get it.
Welcome to the Moffat era.
I mean, it's another incarnation of River, for
Yeah.
sure, in the astronaut suit.
That's as far as it goes, really.
Okay. Right. Nodding slowly here.
If you wanted more, you are in the wrong place.
I mean, I don't necessarily want more, but I don't want less.
What?
Like, it's fine, but just what is it? I guess it leaves it open for speculation, which is nice.
Yeah.
But what is it at the same time? Anyway, things start going wrong. The Silents are breaking in.
Because the eye drives start activating
Right.
and killing people, and then it starts killing Kaveri. She's like, no, it's me, you fools.
So I guess what this all is that Kovarian had pre-programmed the eye drives to kill people.
Well, yeah, because she says, like, oh, I bet you're wearing them based on mine, right? And she probably has some sort of, like, self-destruct in hers or something.
Yeah, so we get the idea that the Silents are really the ones pulling the strings and not her.
Yeah.
Since they gave her the eye drive, presumably.
She's able to get it off, though.
Yeah. Now that I think about this episode, the more I think about it, the more it kind of not falls apart because they don't necessarily have to answer questions, but like, who's Kovarian, right? Like,
Yeah. Who is Kovarian? And why does she care so much if silence falls across the universe? It's another question. It's one of those.
They're not obligated to follow up on anything, right? They don't have to do anything.
They're not obligated to, but they were setting it up like she's some big figure.
Yeah.
This episode is one of those ones that the less you think about it, the better it is. The more you
The
start.
ones where you like walk away and you're like, that was awesome. And like 2 weeks later, you're like, oh man, what was that?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, really, the more you think about this episode, the more it starts to fall apart.
I thought there was going to be so much with Kovarian. I thought she was going to be like either Amy or River or somehow like in some weird time loop
Not in
type
this
thing.
episode. We don't even know if Kovarian's still alive at this point.
She's probably dead.
River implies that she's still alive because it was another timeline that was aborted.
Yeah, I guess she's probably alive in the
Regular timeline.
original universe.
Yeah, Rory decides to stay back to give him time to get to the roof because River and Amy apparently have been working on a plan to save everyone. And they get up there and it's just a distress beacon.
I mean, this is cool, though. There's like an altar on top of the pyramid and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I like that entire setup. And you see this sort of landscape of the desert at sunset, and it all looks pretty cool.
Right.
As you would expect from a season finale.
You would hope.
Yeah.
River says like she wasn't going to let the doctor die without knowing how loved he is because there's all these people answering that they would come and save the doctor and help him. All these thousands of civilizations. The sunspots are apparently not sunspots. They're echoes from the other universe.
Yeah, no. Did they mention the sunspots earlier in this episode?
Yeah, right when we see London and the cars are flying across the screen, there's a radio report that says, we got increased sunspot activity. It's going to be affecting radio transmission. Sorry about
They
that.
could have made that a little more obvious. Oh, maybe
it was like the first line of the episode.
Maybe. I don't know. I forgot about it. So the Doctor and River have to get married now.
Yep.
The Doctor uses his bow. I like the touch where he uses his bow tie.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice. And, the parents are present, Amy and Rory.
Well, he's like, I need a strip of, like, cloth that's a foot long. And then, like, the tying he does of their hands is like, you're going to need something a lot more than a foot long to do that.
But Amy and Rory say their
Consent.
piece. Yeah. And the Doctor has to whisper something in River's ear. So he leans in real close and he says, Season 6 is better than Series 6. But we don't hear that yet. tell I've been waiting to make that joke
How
since
long
I
have you been
watched
sitting
it.
on that one?
It's true, though.
What was in season 6?
The War Games, the Yeti, the one with the guy with the glass eye. Forgot his name. Bunch of other good stories. Second best season of the classic show, next to season 17.
Okay, I was going to say 17.
And far better than this season.
Yikes.
But then again, the best episode of the reboot is worse than the worst episode of the classic show. Actually, that's not true.
Not true.
It's not true at all.
There was a moment of silence there where we processed.
Silence will fall when the claim is made.
I was thinking while I was watching this, I was like, maybe they're just all misinterpreting. Maybe silence will fall literally means the empire, the Church of the Silence will fall when the Doctor dies at Trenzalore or whatever.
But that's not the question being asked, is it? Or is it somehow
Well, silence will
supposed to
be silence will fall when the question is asked.
Yeah, and they don't ask the question until the end.
Yeah.
But you also assume, or at least I did, that when the question is asked means when the Doctor asks the question, which he doesn't.
Well, Maldivar specifically says it's when the question is answered on the fields of Trenzalore.
Oh, huh. Okay. Well, apparently that never comes into play. Ever.
In this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this episode.
Yeah, in this one.
Set for later.
I thought you said earlier in this recording that they never touch on it again. Maybe I just...
It's not the overarching plotline of the next season.
Oh, okay.
Comes back, though.
All right. I'll have to wait on that. Anyway, the Doctor and River kiss, and that's when they...
Time starts going forward again.
Yeah, so they find themselves back at Lake Silencio, and the Doctor tells River what's going on, and River feels very distraught over knowing that she's about to kill the Doctor, but the Doctor says, look over there. I brought all of you here to show you this, that I forgive you in the future, River, because the River over there is a future version of River. And this is where I pause the episode to sort of put the pieces together, because this is some confusing nonsense. But yeah, it is a future version of River.
Right. Cut to Amy sitting in her backyard, like drinking wine sadly, when River shows up and's like, so where are you in your time? Like, Doctor just died. River's like, you really believe that? Amy's like, yeah, I fucking saw him.
All right, I'll touch on this at the end, in addition to my Lethbridge Stewart comments.
I want to touch on this now because I question the timeline placement of this scene since actually what would have just happened for Amy is he would have dropped them off at the house pre-closing time.
But I think she can sense the alternate universe, like her alternate universe.
Yeah, she says she can
counterpart
remember the other universe.
Yeah.
So Rory on the other
But I guess Rory probably can't.
Yeah. River comes over, tells her the Doctor's not really dead, tells her what the Doctor whispered in the ear, which wasn't the Doctor's name like he said it was. It was actually, look in my eye. And there's the Doctor in the eye.
Because the Doctor this entire time, except for maybe those first few scenes, was a Tesselecta.
He was in the Tesselecta.
The Tesselecta.
Because he went back.
It's a ship. I forgot it's a ship.
They were like, is there anything we can do? Apparently he went back like, actually, there's one thing.
You guys can help me cheat death. Are you in?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, according to our records, that would completely destroy all known law and
order
of the known universe.
So sure, we're in.
So the Doctor's still alive, and he tells Dorian. Gosh, why am I forgetting his name now? He tells Dorian. He puts Dorian back in the tomb.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I'm going to be real low key from now on. No more drawing attention to myself. I went too far, and I paid for it.
Yeah.
Did I really pay for it? No, he doesn't say that.
He didn't really.
No, yeah, he really didn't. He kind of rose. He rose his way out of this.
Yeah, he did. Got his cake and ate it too.
Yeah. And I really don't believe that he's going to be more low-key from now on. I somehow seriously doubt that.
Well,
I'll have to see.
Yeah, but I don't want to say anything.
I wouldn't be surprised if...
I don't want to give away what the overarching plot is for the next half season, since season 7 is split in two.
Yeah, even more formally than this season was.
Right.
But that's the Wedding of River song. Again, I think this is just a mediocre story.
It's a story that falls apart on a closer inspection, really. I mean, if you just sit back, enjoy the ride, and don't think about any of the questions or anything, you're like, oh, it's a pretty fun episode. There's a lot of fun things going on. Once you start to, like, question, like, why the things the episode allegedly set out to do, like, answer the overarching plot line and explain things, and you start to realize that it didn't really.
But, I mean, remember, they don't have an obligation to do anything.
No, they don't.
They don't. And
they don't have an obligation to make TV.
No, they don't. And they don't.
I don't have an obligation to
like the episode.
Yeah, to forgive them for that just because they don't have to do it.
No, I mean, I just want to make that perfectly clear.
Yeah.
I still think this is like a 3 out of 5. I don't know why I'm rating this one.
I don't know why you're rating this one. Out of all the episodes to rate, this is the one you chose.
But let's touch on some of the finer points.
I give it a 1.2 out of 5.
If you're going to go point, why not just go out of 10 then? You know?
I mean, why not? I don't want to know. I want to use a 5.
All right.
Be a 2.4 out of 10.
All right. Why not just make it a 24 out of 100 then?
Yeah,
why not
just
go 240 out of 1,000? You know, really up the stakes.
I don't want to.
All right. You know, you can.
I want to go to 1.2 out of 5. No, you know what? I'm going to go 1.2 out of 5.3. That's my scale.
All right.
12 out of 53.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lethbridge Stewart.
Yeah.
His death.
Yeah.
I really liked how it's done, actually.
Me too.
And I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch Doctor Who at the time. I wasn't a Doctor Who fan at the time that this came out. But I can imagine that older fans, people who watched the classic show, were maybe up in arms about this, about how he was just killed like that.
Not this one. Wait till the next time they reference his death.
Great.
That's the one that got everyone really up in arms.
But
because the thing is, the next time they do it, everyone is like, but you did it perfectly in Wedding of River Song. Everybody actually really liked, from what I can tell, everybody really likes this.
Well, it's done really well.
And I think it's done really well as well. It's also a nice character moment for the Doctor because he, like, someone else's mortality makes him recognize his own.
Well, this is also the thing of, like, the Doctor's traveled through time far beyond when Lethbridge Stewart is dead. You know, when he's in the year Apple 2 point whatever to the second power or whatever it is, then, you know, at that point, Lethbridge Stewart is obviously dead.
Right.
Yet he's not, like, cognizant of that. And the point where it really hits him is in his timeline where he gets the call.
Right.
At that moment. And I really liked that.
There is that story that implied / stated that every incarnation of the Doctor was at Lethbridge Stewart's funeral, so it makes you wonder.
Well, if there's any companion that's worthy of that, then it's the Brig.
I agree. And this is a really touching tribute. And nice moment.
Yeah.
Apparently the Brig talked about the Doctor all the time and always made them pour out another glass of scotch in case he showed up. Or whiskey. I don't remember what it was now.
Nah.
Whatever the Brig's drink of choice was.
And if you don't have anything else to say, I also want to touch on Amy and River's reconciliation, which I think is I mean, for all the things this episode didn't follow up on, I'm glad it followed up on that.
Right.
Because there is this sort of thing looming over you throughout this entire season of like, all right, Amy and Rory's child, River, was taken from them as a baby, and they obviously have their moments off screen or whatever, but they don't seem too distraught over it.
Yeah, that was one of the things I did want to mention, is that this episode does kind of bring back that anger that she felt about her child being stolen when she just kills Kovarian in cold blood, because we didn't mention she puts the eye drive back on Kovarian.
Yeah, it's sort of falling off Kovarian, and Kovarian says, like, you would never abandon me because it's what your precious doctor would never do.
I mean, she says, well, guess what? The doctor's not here. And then she said, and guess what? River didn't get it all from you, sweetie. Kills her in cold blood.
Yep.
River later on is like, it was a timeline that was aborted. You were emotionally distressed. Like, hey, don't worry about it. You killed someone. Doctor's killed millions of people. He just doesn't like to say he has.
And, you know, also following up on Let's Kill Hitler, where River was sort of this, like, chaotic force.
Chaotic, good. Doctor Who alignment chart.
But I liked how they sort of It seems like they have some sort of relationship now where, they skipped the formative years and River now is an adult who comes back, who's older than them, who comes back and now visits them, and they have their moments. And
well,
they're
they have
reconciled.
Amy has that moment where she realizes she's the doctor's mother-in-law.
Yeah.
She's like, ah. And then Rory's like, I think you need another glass of wine. She's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. I really like this wrap up with River and Amy and Rory. And I have no idea whether or not Amy and Rory are coming back next season.
Well, like
No
I
idea.
said, Amy and Rory are written out in the most disappointing way possible. So if you think that's this, then yes. Like
Well,
I
this
said,
wasn't disappointing at all to me. So I'm going
well,
to say it's
then-
not this. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, me too. We get a Christmas special before we get next season. The Doctor's alone still. Doesn't have Amy and Rory with him. He doesn't know that they know he's alive. And so, yeah.
Yeah, trying to keep it
barely
real low-key.
remember next Christmas special. I think I remember not paying a lot of attention to it when I watched it the first time. So I'm interested to watch it again, honestly. And then 2 weeks from now, for Asylum of the Daleks, we are planning to be joined again by RG.
Right.
That's the plan
Who
anyway.
joined us for the Doctor's wife.
Right. So,
Yeah, wait, just Christmas
Plans.
special just in time for Christmas. Is that
Yep.
the first time this has happened? I think
yeah,
it
for
is.
us, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it at the start of the season. It's like, I think the next Christmas special is going to come out right around Christmas.
Yeah. And I think I
right
mentioned
after
it
Christmas, I think,
a
actually.
few episodes ago, but since Doctor Who is not having a Christmas special in 2018, it's a perfect opportunity to jump on board Trust Your Doctor for providing that Christmas special content where Doctor Who failed
Great.
by capitalizing on what Doctor Who did 6 years ago.
Great. Well, anyway, I don't have anything more to say on this.
Yeah, that's it from me.
The thing is, I talked about most of the season arc like when it was resolved in Good Man Goes to War, so
Wow.
that was a savage burn. Boom, roasted.
The roast of Steven Moffat.
The roast of Steven Moffat. The Feast of Steven.
God. Wait a minute. Are they eating Moffat's roast at the Feast of Stephen? Is the Feast of Stephen cannibal propaganda?
And on that bombshell, you can reach us at the doctor at decadentvegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on Series 6. You can find us on YouTube at Decadent Vegetable. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play at Trust Your Doctor. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter. And next time, we're watching The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. But until then, the end.